Wait, look at this number. The Galaxy S26 Ultra is now officially the world's fastest smartphone, beating out even the iPhone. But the real surprise isn't speed. There's a change in this phone that Samsung has never taken seriously before. So yeah, it's official now. The Galaxy S26 Ultra just took the crown as the fastest smartphone in the world. And on top of that, there are a few interesting updates worth talking about. So let's jump right in. So let's start with the camera, because while the S26 Ultra isn't getting some massive camera hardware overhaul, there are still some meaningful changes happening. The first one is on the software side, specifically the camera algorithm. According to Ice Universe, the S26 Ultra can now capture more natural skin tones, closer to how people actually look in real life. This is a very welcome change, especially considering how often smartphones mess up skin tones. And let's be real, darker skin tones usually suffer the most. Google has already been doing this really well with Pixel phones for a while now, so it's good to see Samsung finally taking this seriously. Now, there's been some confusion around whether the S26 Ultra would once again get a custom 4 Galaxy version of the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, and the answer is yes. The S26 Ultra with this custom chip has now shown up on Geekbench, confirming it. The score is coming in at 3,800 for single-core and 11,500 for multi-core, which officially posts the S26 Ultra as the fastest smartphone right now. For context, the iPhone 17 Pro Max scores around 3,700 in single-core and 9,800 in multi-core. What's even more interesting is that the OnePlus 15 is also running the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, yet its scores are slightly lower than the S26 Ultra. The reason is pretty simple. Samsung is using a custom version of the chip with higher CPU clock speeds. And by the way, it's not just the CPU. The GPU on the S26 Ultra is also clocked higher than the standard 8 Elite Gen 5. So just like last year, Samsung once again walks away with the better overall Snapdragon chip. Now, recently, we talked about the new 24-megapixel camera mode on the S26 Ultra and how it takes noticeably better photos than the default 12-megapixel mode, with more detail and better colors. I showed an animation where the 12-megapixel shots take around 3 seconds to finish processing, while the 12-megapixel mode is basically instant. Some people took that as shutter lag, which it's not. Shutter lag is basically zero on both models. You can keep taking photos back to back without any delay. What takes time is the background post-processing that happens after the photo is captured and saved in the gallery. And honestly, if the result is better-looking photos, that's not a big trade-off. Now, here's a small design detail about the S26 Ultra that you probably already know. You see, the camera bump on the S26 Ultra is huge, roughly double the thickness of the S25 Ultra. To keep it from looking ridiculous, Samsung is using a dual-layer camera module similar to what they did with the S25 Edge. Visually, it should look cleaner, but let's be honest, this still won't fix the wobbling issue. You already see that on the S25 Edge and even on the Fold 7. Now, moving to the dark side, Apple has basically admitted defeat and officially acknowledged that they need Google's help to make Siri actually useful. Apple is reportedly paying Google about $1 billion every year to use Google's AI models. So in a way, Siri is basically Gemini in disguise at this point. And it's not just Siri. Apple will also be using Google's AI for live translation and Image Playground image generation, which basically means Apple is no longer going to be terrible at mobile AI. But this isn't great news for Samsung. For the last couple of years, Samsung could comfortably say they were way ahead of Apple in the AI race. This deal closes that gap fast. On the flip side, this is massive news for Google. With both Samsung and Apple relying on Gemini, Google is basically positioning itself to dominate mobile AI across the entire phone market. Finally, we already know February 25th is the Unpacked event date for the S26 lineup. The release was expected in early March, but now we have an exact date. According to Korean media, the S26 lineup launches on March 11th. That's exactly 2 weeks after Unpacked, which lines up perfectly with Samsung's usual schedule. Watch more tech videos on our channel, and don't forget to subscribe for daily tech updates. This is Mr. Fanova. Thanks for watching.